Your one piece of
Yeah,
advice?
I would say get comfortable as fast as possible. And I mean that specifically. Don't wait until you are ready to have a kind of real conversation with the native speaker. There is no ready. You will never feel ready. The discomfort is the learning. So find a native speaker and find a language exchange partner. Go somewhere you can talk to yourself as well in the mirror. That every single time, comfort is the enemy of acquisition. I used to sit down to study and I feel incompetent for at least 10 minutes. The students are actually terrified, not bored, not disengaged. They are literally terrified. And that fear, I would say, is the number one enemy of an English language teacher. Not vocabulary gaps, not grammar, but I would say that's a fear.
Zeeshan is here. We got him. We fixed it, guys. He's here. Boom, just like that. See, I stole for time. I know. See, fixed. Boom. Look, here we go. Hey, Zeeshan. Look at Zeeshan, guys. Wow, man.
Which room? I'm Andrea, and today I have someone sitting across me, virtually across from me, who generally made me rethink the way I talk about language learning. His name is Zeeshan. Welcome. He's an English educator. He speaks Mandarin at a pretty impressive level, and he has this whole philosophy about teaching that honestly threw me a little the first time I heard it. Zeeshan, welcome.
Awesome. Well, I love your background. Thank you for being here. Let's cut straight to the chase. Why don't you, for those of you that don't know you, maybe you talk a little bit about yourself, where you are on this English language journey, what you're trying to accomplish, because I think a lot of our audience here can really benefit from your story.
Wow. Okay, so how do you work around that? Because you still need them to speak.
Yes, I try to build what I think of as, I would say, psychologically safety net first. And before I even introduce content in a new classroom, I try to spend time co-creating what I call a classroom contract with the students. And it's a very funny thing to do so as well. Like I do not hand them a list of rules. I try to build what the environment. I try to build the environment together, right? And I ask them what do they, what do you need to do for that particular instant or for that particular kind of environment. So I try to feel them safe. So that they can try enough, and then and they tell me that when the guidelines are theirs, so they actually follow them, and it's night and day, so they follow that thing as well.
Yes, basically, first of all, I would like to thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity that right now I am, live in your live stream. That's a very cordial welcome and a huge opportunity for me to express my ideas, even if I'm nothing in front of you, because you're a great teacher, and since I've been following you for quite a long time, and on Hello Talk and on different platforms, so this is the thing that will really just uplift my personality the way you see right now. So initially we had our previous conversations, probably some of our audience, they might remember that. So it was not that much kind of, expressive as right now. So the thing is that basically,
You have this phrase you use, confidence over perfection. And when I first heard it, I thought, okay, that's a nice slogan. But then you explained what you actually meant by it. And it was so much much more specific than I expected.
You're right, yeah. It's not like a poster you'd buy at a gift shop. And I know, but sometimes it comes from something really concrete. And the thing is that in so many classrooms that I've seen this across different countries and different age groups, the students are actually terrified, not bored, not disengaged. They are literally terrified of kind of making mistakes in front of their classmates. And that fear, I would say, is the number one enemy of an English language teacher, of any language teacher. Not vocabulary gaps, not grammar, but I would say that's a fear.
And it makes sense when you think about it, because making mistakes in public feels so personal right now. Like, it's not just I said the wrong word. It's everyone now thinks I'm stupid.
Exactly, yeah. And the social cost of that moment, it varies so much depending on where you are. So I've taught students from South Asian backgrounds, like the students from the East Asian classrooms. And in a lot of those contexts, the concept of the face, which is in Chinese, it is mianzi, like losing the face in front of your peers. It's very enormous, right? It's very much enormous, and it's not a small things, I would say. So if you cold call a student who isn't ready and they stumble, so you haven't just had a teaching moment, and a teacher who have, like for example, I've potentially shut them down for the rest of the term. So that's what it really matters, and that particular moment.
I have done my bachelor's English linguistics and literature from the National University of Modern Languages, Islamabad. And I've also done my TEFL from the Cambridge University, and along with it, I've done my TESOL from the Arizona State University, in which I have just worked on my teaching skills, the how a class is basically taught, and how and what are the strategies that should be differently that are required for an English language teacher for that teach students in a very creative way. So that's what I have, and some other certifications that literally improve person development and my teaching style as well. This is the question that somebody might ask in the comment section.
Okay, that's interesting. The ownership piece. You're essentially making them the architects of their own learning space, isn't it?
Exactly. And the second thing is you have to design your tasks in a way that gives students a kind of a predictable win before you ask them to take a risk. So, if I have a really resistant student, suppose, in my classrooms, like, the kid in the big arms crossed and not, making eye contact. So I won't put them on the spot. I won't put them on the spot in the classrooms. I'll walk over quietly during my group task, and I would get down to that particular students, to their eye level, and I try to negotiate a micro goal with my students. And I'll say, hey, in about 5 minutes, I'm gonna ask your group one vocabulary word. So can you be the one who read it out loud for me? So one word is basically one word, and that's it. Like they almost always say yes, and because it's very manageable, Andrea, it's very manageable and it's very safe for that purpose.
Okay, so that's interesting. Thanks. First of all, I would like to thank you for this wonderful Zoom meeting that we are having right now, face to face. And first of all, I would like to introduce you. Tell me about yourself.
What would you like to know, Mohammed?
Yes, I would like to know about yourself. Like, how is your experience towards teaching language, and how teaching really inspired you? And since when did you start teaching? And who inspired you towards this kind of field?
I've been teaching now for almost 20 years. 20 years. I've been teaching for 20 years.
Initially, when I was in my college, there was a teacher, and he was literally, kind of an exemplary for me at that time, because the way he was explaining things and kind of understanding the students, it was literally admirable for me. And he was kind of really impressive person, and that's why afterwards, like, he inspired me that this language is something that you can live with, and this language would definitely shape your future if you wholeheartedly follow the English language. And gradually and slowly, I just honed my skills with the passage of time, and just gather some certificates and some courses online, and also on physical courses that literally shaped my career as well. And this is how right now I ended up. And I'm currently planning to teach abroad, probably international countries.
You mentioned something earlier before we started recording about the 30-70 rule. What's that?
Oh yeah, this is something I'm almost obsessive about. So in any given lesson, I try to keep my own talking as an English teacher to about 30% of the total lesson time, which means the students are doing 70% of the work. And that sounds obvious when you say it out loud, right? So of course the students should be talking more, Andrea. So but to go into almost any classrooms and watch what actually happens. The teacher talks and then asks that any questions, and no one puts their hand up, and we basically move on as teachers.
It requires your experience, because if you have a lot of certificates, but the only thing that's truly matter is basically the experience that you have. So for example, the moment you accumulate certain certificates that are required for a particular job, you have to keep in mind that experience matter a lot. And this is something that fresh graduates might literally pass from this stage. And it's something that's really difficult at the same time, but it's very much easier along with it, because the moment you find your own channel, your avenue, it becomes quite easier for you to follow your passion, to follow your future prospects. Mostly if you talk about the international jobs, obviously like there are not thousands of people, there are millions of people who have applied for the same job positions, where you have to be very stand up yourself. You have to work on your CV, you have to work on your accent, your pronunciation, your speaking style, the way you teach. Obviously your certifications, they matter a lot. So, and the way you find the certain path or certain ideas, that might literally add up into your professional experience as well. So I would say, nothing is difficult, but the only thing that truly matters in this life is basically your perseverance, your grit. If you are well enough, if you are very resilient towards anything, achieving anything, it could be the language learning, it could be any skills, any technical skills, any technical educations or the professional experience. That in that case, it is very much important that you have to be very consistent enough in that career, and you have to just continue consistently grow and work on yourself. And this is the moment that kind of shines you with the passage of time. You can take the example of a diamond. A diamond is a diamond because it has bore certain kind of temperatures where it has to go through the hardship of that phase. So you have to bear certain kind of hardship in your life, and in the long run, obviously, it can help you and you can have a very brighter future.
Yeah, I love that analogy, man. You're absolutely right. So you mentioned a lot of great qualities that you ought to have, and you're giving a lot of great insights here in terms of the phase that you're in right now. But let's take the conversation a little sideways right now, because I know this is on a lot of people's minds. It's a pattern and a theme that has always come across with people that maybe want to make English their life. They want to use an opportunity as a tool to kind of get out of the situation that they're in, not in a negative way, but they want better opportunities for themselves, and that's what they truly intentionally want to do, because they also love English. It's not just here's English, let me just use it. No, I actually do love English, and I enjoy this process. But Zeeshan, there are some people that don't have the support from their families. They don't have the support from their friends. They don't have the support from their parents, their colleagues, their coworkers, maybe even their teachers. Maybe no one is there to give them that support. And there are a lot of people in that situation where they just don't have the external support. So,
well, this is a very dynamic perspective, I would say. Especially external and internal support, they both matter a lot in this case. Because if a student is kind of really excellent, really intelligent in any field, right, in any subjects, I would say, and then later on he or she is not having or receiving any feedback or support from his or her family, it really kind of hinders their way of learning. For example, let me give a clear analogy. It would become easier for you guys. For example, if a student is basically kind of achieving or want to do the medical in the future, right? So medical requires a lot of money, right? From a person who is basically from the underprivileged background, he or she is not having that much money, right? So it becomes very much difficult for her to achieve a specific goal in his or her life. Yeah, money matters a lot, and plus the resources, I would say. For example, right now, if you are living in an area, in a village where internet is not properly workable, it's not stable, this is something that would definitely hinder from your own career, from your own path. And I would say we are living in this 21st century, right, where communication, the critical thinking skills, the creativity, and these skills matter a lot. So if you have these skills, right, you can definitely outskill other people in this way. Even if you're not having that much resources in your life, still you can perform something that would definitely deviate or kind of fill that gap that you are lacking in terms of resources. So I would say parents, they matter a lot in your career because they support you financially, socially, and emotionally whenever you're feeling kind of demoralized at the moment. So they can support or motivate you in that field. Support matters a lot, I would say.
Okay, Christoph, you have taught in so many countries. So I'm honestly curious that did teaching feel the same everywhere, or did some places change you how you teach?
No, it's all different. Students are different, so they have different needs. They have different backgrounds. For example, when I was working in Myanmar, the biggest issue there with the students was that they didn't have any cultural reference points. So, for example, when you have course books deal with popular culture and things that people experience in the world. And since they were cut off from the world, and they had been cut off from the world for many, many years, there were many things they couldn't relate to. So there was additional explanation needed of popular culture that people in the West would kind of understand: TV series, movies, special celebrities, things like this, or certain customs that were normal for the world to know, they didn't know, so they needed additional teaching. For example, in Colombia, the students are extremely talkative. They don't really have that many issues with talking, and what that means that they talk a lot, but their accuracy is rather low. They're not scared of making mistakes, so they make a lot of mistakes. So that's something as a teacher you have to work on. While now in Czech Republic, students, they don't produce a lot, and their accuracy is very high. And that's because mostly they are scared of producing language. So there you have to work a lot more on the fluency to get them to talk and get them to overcome their fear of talking, basically. So I think country by country, there are different needs. Of course, every individual student also has different needs. But if you look globally, there are definitely different needs for different people or different backgrounds, I would say.
Okay, that's interesting. So yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I've been teaching English language for the past 5 years now, usually international, to international students online through platforms like HelloTalk or Cambly and Preply as well. So I have also taught to Chinese students, which I really found interesting because I was really curious and inspired by their way of teaching and their way of sharing ideas. They were so kind and gentle people, and that really taught me the humility that they possess right now. So, and I also talked to the Netherlands, the Dutch students as well. There was a student, and his age was probably 50 years, and he was almost like kind of my looking like a grandfather, and still I taught English language to him. So it was really a great passion for me and a great moment for me when I was teaching to him. But initially he couldn't understand the English language properly. So what I did was actually I curated the lesson plan, and I've added the German words along with the English words. I was teaching him the vocabulary, English vocabulary. So when I was teaching that, so I would love to, I would edit, kind of few words and the German language along with English language words. So that would really help that particular students, because in order to teach something or in order to, give something to other students or the learners, you need to, inculcate yourself in that particular context or in that particular culture. Then afterwards, this will kind of create a bond between you and the learners. So that's what I truly believe, that if you want to teach, or if you're teaching to anybody, or the students or the learners around the world, so the first thing that we as a teacher need to understand is that we have to, integrate or embed their own cultures in ours, and our cultures into them. So by this kind of transition, we would, easily teach them the exact things that we are teaching. So that's what I did, and I also, I've been a content creator for past a couple of years now on YouTube as well, and I am also, writing Medium articles about English language, how English language should be learned and how should it be written in a particular or concise way. So when I was doing my TESOL course from the Arizona State University online. So I had created the 10 lesson plans along with video links that were actually embedded in that particular kind of documents. So that really inspired me. It was the first time when I had to create the lesson plans for the English learners, particularly targeted for the the intermediate students. So, and currently I'm also working on the CELTA. CELTA is in progress right now. So it's been a pleasure for me to complete the CELTA and to further hone my English language skills and the teaching skills, obviously the strategies that I'm doing. Anyhow, so and that next question I would be asking you is that after all these years, what part of teaching English do you still find difficult? Because you have a lot of experience, like more than 20 years in this field, so you have more experience than me. So what do you consider the most important, the most difficult thing for a learner in the English language so far?
Depends from person to person and also personal background, like you said. I feel that if I look at Asian students are a lot more comfortable with the written part, while Western students are a lot more comfortable with the spoken part.
你好，我是英语老师。For me, teaching English is about more than grammar and vocabulary. It's about helping students build the confidence to express themselves, think independently, and communicate with the world. Over the past 6 years, I've taught students from grade 6 to 12 in local schools, as well as online learners from China, Germany, and the Netherlands. One experience I'm especially proud of is designing pronunciation and speaking programs for Chinese learners and helping develop an online speaking course now used by more than 500 students. Teaching doesn't stop when class ends. I've created over 30 interactive English lessons and more than 70 teaching videos on my YouTube channel. Creating content has made me a more creative teacher and stronger at explaining ideas simply and clearly. My teaching style is communicative, student-centered, and interactive. I use storytelling, technology, games, and real-life situations, so students feel confident asking questions, participating, and building real communication skills, not just academic English. And I would be honored to join a school where I can keep growing as an educator, while helping students become confident, lifelong communicators. Thank you very much. I hope to meet you and your students soon. 谢谢大家，很高兴认识你们。